We will treat you well, a tagline synonym to its organizational philosophy. Who else could endorse it other than the leader himself? Before I call him up on stage, let's have a look at his AV.
Dr. Azad Moopen, founder, chairman, and managing director of Aster DM Healthcare. Dr. Azad Moopen has a particularly interesting profile as an entrepreneur. And the main reason for this is because this visionary businessman is, well, a doctor too. Dr. Moopen managed these two facets of himself on a personal level. Given that these two roles, by their very nature, can be seen as being quite contrasting of each other. While the healthcare sector remains Dr. Moopen's primary focus, he is also creating new paths into other sectors as well. He ventured into education with the opening of DM Wims Medical College and Hospital, DM Wims Nursing and Pharmacy Colleges at Wayanad in Kerala to train the future healthcare professionals under the Dr. Moopen's Education and Research Foundation. Dr. Moopen is placing a lot of importance on diversification and innovation as being the drivers for the continued success and growth of his company. But at the same time, he is insistent on the company being guided ahead by a very specific set of values. Gulf Madhyamam proudly welcomes Dr. Azad Moopen to the prestigious stage of Common Kerala Business Conclave.
Good evening, everyone. And thanks a lot to Gulf Madhyamam to give me this opportunity. So I thought that we will make it very informal rather than a speech which I make and then it's more of a one-way traffic. Maybe for a short while as an introduction for 10-15 minutes, I will just talk about what I think about this great theme. I should congratulate Madhyamam, and we all should congratulate for taking up such a great theme for this business meet. 10x is something. 10x is something which many of us talk about, but very few of us actually practice. We have heard it. Some of us have tried it, but many times we were not able to achieve it. So what is 10x? 10x is very simple. From what you are today, how can you reach 10 times more than what you are now in a specific period of time? A very short period of time usually. So you see a lot of examples of this. 10x is seen, I need not tell you, in international companies like Amazon or Uber or the Airbnb, or even in Indian companies when you look at. You have examples like the Oyo, or even our own, from our own state, the Byju's app. These are all things which have gone to that 10x level. And if you look at even here in the GCC, we have the great example of the Lulu Group, Yusuf Ali Sahib, creating something within a very short period with a 10x speed. So it's possible. It's not that this is rocket science. It's possible and it's achievable. You must have that mindset, that's all. And it's different from the usual mindset. If you do ordinary things, you usually get ordinary results. If you have to have extraordinary results, you must do extraordinary things. And that is actually 10x. And you have to find out what are the areas that you can do. Maybe it is not something which is core that you are doing now. Maybe it is something which is non-core. The examples which I mentioned, these are all new which people have started. If you look at Byju's, it's something which just started like that, and that is a great story now. A $4 billion company and unicorn in India within a short period. But there are a lot of us who are already running businesses, who are having a desire to have that 10x growth. And how is it possible? We have to, one, look at our main business and see whether it's possible to have a 10x growth. Or look at the adjacencies of our business, the non-core areas where there will be a lot of opportunities. I will give you our own example, how we are looking at 10x. So we have the core business of healthcare, and we have hospitals, clinics, and pharmacies. So is it possible to achieve a 10x growth by doing something in hospitals, in this environment? It may not be very easy in the way in which we are doing, in the brick and mortar way in which we do. We build hospitals, we have clinics, we have pharmacies, and then it's a huge cost which is involved. It's a very high capex business. So it may not be possible for us to think about a 10x business when we are looking at healthcare. We have done this in the past. If you look at, we started in 1987 with just one clinic. And by grace of God and by the situation in the healthcare field in this country and the support of the people, the visionary rulers of this country, we could make it into a much larger, maybe we had a 10x growth at that point of time. From what we had just one clinic in 1987, we have now 365 or 366 establishments worldwide. And in the last 10 years itself, if you look at our valuation in 2009, which was given by one of the private equity firms, was just $100 million. And now we are a public company, and you can look at the market. Our market cap is about $1.2 billion, which is about 12 times in the last 10 years we have grown. So this has happened because of the situations here. We have captured that situations and we were able to reach here. But is it possible always? No, it's not possible. Even if you take the print industry or anything, is it possible to go through the same thing, printing papers or anything for that matter, and get a 10x growth? It's impossible now. We all know that because the world is changing. Like that, in healthcare industry also, it is not possible to achieve a 10x growth in the way in which we did it earlier. So you have to look at what are the other ways in which you can do that. So we recently did a vision paper, a visioning for 2030. And the most important focus, and where we thought that it's possible for us to have a 10x growth from whatever we are now to go to that level, that's only through a new way in which you have to look at the business. And we know that healthcare is progressing in that way. Telehealth is the one which is progressing. So we want to transform our company in the next 5 to 10 years, instead of a brick and mortar company, into a digital healthcare company. Digital health is the one which is happening now, and I'm sure that in the next 5 to 10 years, it's going to be entirely different the way in which we provide healthcare and we receive healthcare. And it will be having that 10x effect if you are catching hold of that area where digital health is your focus. So what I was trying to say is that one of the most important things for us to achieve 10x growth or grow 10 times, it is you have to choose the right place or the right thing that you have to do. Now, there are other opportunities. I told about right place. Even that's important. Maybe it is not possible for you to grow in GCC like what we grew in the last 10 years. But maybe there is an opportunity in Africa where you can grow 10 times in 5 years. So geography also is important. So you have to look at the way of business that you are going to do, the type of business, as well as you have to look at the place where you are going to do. So these are all very important when you decide how are you going to do a 10x growth. Now, coming to the brass tracks, when you are looking at what if you decide, okay, this is the place and this is the business you are going to start, what decides on your success? The leader or the leaders should have an abundance mentality in them. Instead of a mentality of stringency, they should be having a growth mindset. Only if we have a growth mindset and if we 100% believe that we will be able to go to that, whatever we have visualized or envisioned, then only you are going to have a 10x growth. So there has to be a 10x mentality, growth mentality, like what I told first. If you are doing the same thing, you will reach the same goal. You have to do extraordinary things. So decide yourself as the leader or the group of leaders in the company. Decide of a goal, and then instead of an incremental growth, you must have exponential growth. Exponential growth only will take you to 10x. Incremental growth, every year growing 5%, 10%, is not going to take you to a 10x growth. If you grow 10% every year, even on a cumulative basis, you may reach maybe double or just 1.5 times of what you are today. But you want to have 10 times what you are today, there has to be an exponential growth. So the mindset has to change. Apart from finding out the right place and the right business, the mindset has to change. That's the most important thing. So you should have people with you who are able to imbibe that mindset, 10x mindset. And it's said that usually you have to have the drivers in your bus before even you buy the bus. That's the most important thing. If you want to reach somewhere, a destination, even before you decide the destination, have the drivers, identify the people. Any business you want to start, the most important and the most strategic thing and the most important thing that you can do is to get the right person to lead that business or to be in that. Decide who is going to drive the bus and decide who are going to be the people who are the passengers in that bus. And then you will reach the destination. That's an extremely important thing. Now, I told about the vision. See, we all visualize, we all think about great things, but only very few of us are able to achieve those great things which the Amazon or the Uber or the Oyo or even the Byju's could up. Within just 5 years is Byju's who made into a 4 billion worldwide company. So what is that is required is very important. One, you have to have a vision. And that vision is something which, like Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam said, you have to dream. Dreaming is very important. How are you going to visualize? Dream about something. And it's said that dream about the moon, you may at least reach halfway, which in itself is a great growth. So he also said that when you are dreaming, you have to keep your eyes open and your legs firmly fixed on the ground. This was his advice. When you want to visualize, dream, but dream with your eyes wide open and your feet firmly fixed on the ground. That is the most important thing. Only if you are able to do that, then only you will know that you have a real dream which can be achieved. Otherwise, what is a dream? A dream is something which you can have in the night, but it's not going to happen. And you should have that vision. So, vision without actual execution is hallucination. Any vision without execution is hallucination. So you must have a vision and you must have a team to execute that. And that is the most important thing. And it is not just incremental, it has to be exponential. Instead of 100% effort, which will take you to maybe the incremental growth, do 1,000% effort and make your team to do that. And that will take you to that 10x destination. So I don't want to prolong. I would like to know your views as well as to answer your questions with whatever personal experience that I have in the last 30 years. I started my journey as a doctor, then became a medical teacher, then became a practitioner, then became a businessman. I don't have any qualification in business, but over the years, I have acquired some knowledge, which I'll be very happy to share with you. And the most important thing, once again, I just want to tell you, is to visualize and visualize something which is achievable. Select the place, select the business you are in, work hard, and there is no success formula other than to work hard and make a team who will be with you and will work hard. And as somebody said, any success is 99% perspiration and 1% inspiration. It's all 99% perspiration. You can have that inspiration, but if it has to be successful, it is 99% is your perspiration and the way in which you can lead a team. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor, for those inspirational words. The floor is open for questions. If you please, the microphones will come to you. Please choose to take a few questions.
Thank you, Doctor, for a very inspiring sharing of your experience. For many of the entrepreneurs which come into this business in very early stage, the problem we suffer is to have that second level drivers who could drive the same vision, and even if that is a 5x, not if a 10x. So I just need your advice in this growth. How do you really make that happen? I'm sure we cannot really scan the people and study the people before we hire, but after we hire, we make them to grow and take over our vision. How do you really do that in your second level?
It's a fantastic question. And for us, people like us who have reached a stage, it's very easy to say that you do it like that, do it like that. But one thing which I want to tell you is that we all grew like this from the beginning. I started a clinic just as a one-doctor clinic. And then what we did is that we got other people who are interested to be there. And we also got people who could be in the management who can manage that. So you have to have the knack to select a team. That is one of the most important qualities of a leader. And one thing which has been done very well by, if you look at any of the large companies like Google or Microsoft, they had partners. It is not a single person many times who start large or very successful companies. Or Infosys, if you look at, 4 or 5 people jointly did that. So if you can get like-minded people to join with you, that will be a way in which you can have an exponential growth. So other ways to even look at ways in which you can be part of a company and grow, and at some stage you become a larger stakeholder in that. So there are many ways in which you can do that, but as an entrepreneur, I very clearly understand your question. You have to have a team. And the greatest, if you ask me, one of the greatest qualities of a leader is to have a team around him. And once he has a team, to make them buy into the vision and mission, and along with that, give them a stake in the business and have them the whole interest to go up with you. So it's possible, difficult, but you have to do that. That is the part of a leader.
Doctor, there's one question here which says that healthcare organizations of today
Yeah.
focus on 5 to 10% of the sick population and try to take care of them.
Yeah.
Whereas the other 90% of the population who are healthy and well, that is an area which is totally probably unexplored.
Yeah.
Does that help a 10x approach in healthcare?
That's a fantastic question. In fact, in our vision statement, I was mentioning about our 2030 vision, which we recently sort of nurtured. In that, one of the things that we found, or when we discussed, we found that healthcare, what we do, the primary care, that's the clinics, the pharmacies, and the hospitals together, comprises about 25% of the overall healthcare provider, whereas 75% is beyond that. That's a pre-primary care and the post-hospital care. And mostly like what you said, wellness is one area which is not being looked at by most healthcare players. So we have decided that while we are looking at the way in which we are going to go through, which I told, which is telehealth, which will take us to that 10x growth, we want to look at these areas which are not touched much presently. Because that helps one in to go to new areas as well as to have a much less capex intensive business. So what you said is very right. There's a huge area there which is not being touched. Just one example on that. Which is the best healthcare system in the world? There are a lot of countries, and we know the Scandinavian countries are the best among the world countries in healthcare. But if you look at a system, Kaiser Permanente in America is considered to be the best healthcare system in the world. What they do is that they have a population in California of hundreds of thousands of people. They provide an insurance to these people from birth to death. So it's their responsibility to take care of all people born in an area from birth to death. What does this help? This makes it mandatory that the company should be focusing for people not to fall sick and not to come for treatment into the clinics or pharmacies or to the hospitals. If they are kept healthy, the system will prosper. So the whole focus is on prevention. So they spend huge amount on educating people on how to remain healthy and give them incentives for exercising, give them incentive for healthy lifestyle. And that's how they reduce the people coming into the hospitals or into clinics. And that is the way in which they are flourishing. And that is a business model. And I consider that to be the best business model in healthcare.
Thank you, Doctor. We'll have time for taking a few more questions. Yes, if you can, please raise your hands. Well, I think we'll have to take a closing note here. We would like to now welcome the Chief Editor of Gulf Madhyamam, Mr. V.K. Hamza Abbas Sahib, to please come forward on stage. Joining him is Mr. P.M. Saleh, the Chief Executive Officer of Madhyamam.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, presenting the token of appreciation to Dr. Azad Moopen, the Founder, Chairman, and Managing Director, Aster DM Healthcare.
come on, come on.